Welcome back. Hope you liked my last video that I presented to you. It's regarding the Nintendo NES restoration. Today it's the second part and second and final part of it. So basically we're gonna clean the metal chassis inside, put everything together and do some testings. Before I start, let me thank everyone who is commenting and like our videos. Keep on doing this. May I also remind you about the giveaways that we have on our Facebook page. I will leave the URL in the comments as well for you. Also, there were some comments regarding using RetroBrite on the Nintendo NES. Quite frankly, I cannot, at this stage, I cannot recommend or say that it's bad to use RetroBrite, as I tend not to use these type of chemicals on plastics. For sure, something is being removed from on the top of the plastic. So that's why I don't use these type of chemicals, as I am not 100% sure what's happening on the plastic case. So I cannot say it's good or bad. Anyone is free to use whatever he likes on his machine. It's up to you to decide if it's good or bad. Anyway, let's start and see what I did to finalize the Nintendo NES and the final testings. It's time to mount everything back, but first we need to mount the door bay and other accessories on the top cover. To complete the top cover, you need the door hinge, the two side black covers and 6 screws. Place the door hinge in the designated slot and the black small covers in their corresponding designated place. But be careful that they fit perfectly, as the front and the back sometimes are different. Use the holes as a reference where they should fit. Once this is done, turn over the top cover and start fitting the short screws. Be careful on the front cover, as there are 2 pieces of metal on each side that holds the front door and are used as a retention for opening and closing the door. Once all screws are fixed, you can test the door if it's opening or closing properly. It's time to fit the switches and joypad ports on the bottom part of the console. To fit the switchboard and the 2 joy ports, you need 4 short screws. Fit the switchboard and hold it in place with the 2 short screws. Once done, fit the 2 joy ports and place the front panel joy port plastic. While holding the joy ports and plastic with one hand, turn over the bottom cover and with the other hand fit the screws in place. So this completes the assembly of the controls of the console. Now that the plastic case and motherboard are ready, the final part will be to clean the metal housing shield. The process is quite like when I cleaned the RF modulator shield, except that we need to be more careful, as you can hurt yourself due to that the shield has sharp edges. Start cleaning the top shield with your metal polish of your choice. You need to repeat the process 2 or 3 times and finally, with a clean cloth, remove any extra finger markings or remaining polish. Do the same procedure for the bottom part and be careful not to hurt yourself, as there are more sharp edges on the bottom part. Clean every part and try to remove any markings or scratches as you can. Once the metal shields are clean, it's time to mount everything on the bottom plastic case. Get the base of the console, the two metal shields, the cleaned motherboard and all the screws needed. Start by mounting the bottom shield to the motherboard and with one hand hold them tight together, being careful not to hurt yourself with the metal shield. While holding the motherboard and shield, plug in the connectors of the power board and the two joy ports. Then place everything in the bottom part of the case, being careful not to pick up any wires between the shield and the case. Make sure that the RF modulator and wires are properly in place and that the motherboard is properly aligned to the designated holes. Time to fit the cartridge cage holder in place. Insert the cartridge cage in the cartridge slot and as a reference align everything using designated holes. Put the two small long screws to hold everything in place, but don't over tighten the screws as you need to fit the rest of the screws before. Fit the 5 screws that also holds the motherboard and try to the cartridge slot that functions properly, making sure that it's free from moving upwards or downwards when you press to release the cartridge. Tighten the screws and clean any dirt or markings that were made during fitting the motherboard or cartridge slot. Finally, fit the top metal chassis and fit the last 7 screws to hold everything together. Once done, don't forget to clean any finger markings that were done during the fitting. Now it's time to close the console completely. Get the top cover and fit it in place. Turn over the console and fit the remaining 5 screws. This completes the cleaning of the console. Next is to clean the joypad, as sometimes dirt accumulates in it, which makes some of the joypad controls not to function properly. With a small screwdriver, start by removing the 6 screws and separate the bottom part from the top part. Remove the controller motherboard, so you have access to the buttons, and with a brush wash all the buttons and plastic case in soap. Clean the board with surgical spirit so we remove any dirt, especially on the controls contact. Using the same cloth with a surgical spirit, clean the cable from any dirt or grease as shown in the footage. Repeat the process 2 or 3 times to make sure it's clean. Get all the washed parts, so to start assembling back the joypad. Start with the top cover, place all buttons and controls movement. Once everything is fit properly, fit the joypad port to hold everything in place. Make sure that the cable is passing in the designated slot. Fit in the bottom cover, and while holding everything with one hand, test the buttons to make sure everything is in place. Once you're satisfied, use the 6 screws to fix everything in place. This completes the joypad cleaning. Now it's time to test the NES. The only problem with this Nintendo was the cartridge port. When you insert a cartridge, it didn't load properly. You had to move the cartridge inside in order to load properly. And also we need to test the RF modulator since we removed it from the board. So what I did is I connected the NES to the RF, and I'm gonna switch it on now. It's working perfectly because we have a white screen. Now I'm gonna test the cartridge. Insert it, the cartridge slot. Yep, it worked perfectly, it's working. I'm gonna try it once more to make sure that wasn't my luck. Perfect. Seems it's working properly. Now the controller. Unfortunately, I have only one game for this console, and to make things worse, the game is in French, as you can see. So bear with me if I'm not good in it. I'm gonna press start. It's asking me when the sound is working properly. Two characters. The controller is working. I need to test the select now. Let's see if this game you use the select button. Should be. Oh, there's something here. Yeah. Select. Yes, it's working. Yep, everything is working fine. So we can say another console repaired. So that's it basically. As you have seen, the machine is back to life. Also thanks to Matthew for giving us another game for the Nintendo NES, and Chris Mifsud, who donated the Nintendo NES to the club, as I really forgot to mention him last time, and I'm really sorry, Chris. I had a lot of things to do, and literally it came out from my mind. So anyway, that's it. Hope you liked it. May I remind you to subscribe to our channel and keep on commenting. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment or else send us an email, and we will answer you back as soon as possible. So see you until next time. See you. Goodbye.